Alright, welcome to the video. This one is going to explain to you how to find the roots or convert a quadratic into factored form. Alright, so we're going to start with the quadratic formula for standard form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The first thing we had to do was factor out the a value. So if we factor out the a value, we're left with an x squared plus b over a x. And then we're going to put in plus blank, minus blank, and then plus c. So we've put in the plus blank and the minus blank because we have to figure out what's the perfect thing to complete the square. So we learned that the thing that you complete the square is half the middle number squared. So we take half the middle number. So b over a was the middle number, so half that is b divided by 2a. And then we have to square that. Okay, so half the middle number squared goes here. And then normally we would subtract the same thing we added, except this time it's in parentheses. So whatever number was here is going to get multiplied by this a value in the front. So the thing that we're going to subtract is whatever that number is, b over 2a squared times the a value, because it's multiplied here into the parentheses. So the actual amount that we've added is this b squared over 4a squared, or b over 2a quantity squared, times a. Okay, now let's rewrite this in vertex form. So we've got here x plus half the middle number, which is b over 2a squared. And then over here we have minus, let's multiply this out, b squared on the top over 2 squared is 4, and a squared, because a is in the parentheses, so a is being squared in the bottom, times a. So we've got a over a squared, so the bottom wins, but it's just a to the first power, and then we have a plus c. So there we've completed the square for the equation in general form, and now we want to solve for the roots. So we set the y value equal to 0. So to find the roots, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be setting y equal to 0. So we write 0 equals, I'm going to copy the same thing down, x plus b over 2a squared minus b squared over 4a plus c. Okay, so now I'm going to try to solve for x by working backwards. So the first thing I need to do is add this b squared over 4a to both sides, plus b squared over 4a. And I also need to subtract c from both sides. Okay, so what I get when I've done that is b squared over 4a minus c equals a times x plus b over 2a squared. So maybe take a pause and check and make sure that what I've done so far makes sense, and then we'll move on from here. So let me get to my next slide and I'll rewrite what I had. So I left off with b squared over 4a minus c equals a times x plus b over 2a squared. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to get a common denominator. Actually, no, let me do it a different way. Let's get rid of this fraction. So let's multiply the entire equation by 4a. This will be a little bit easier. So multiply the entire equation by 4a. The 4a here distributes in here, and it cancels, leaving us with just b squared, minus 4a times c is 4ac, equals sign. 4a distributes into here, 4a times a is 4a squared. And this part, since these are all multiplied together, we only distribute here. This is distributing to the entire piece, because this is all attached by multiplication. This part is multiplied by this part, so it's all one piece. So we get x plus b over 2a squared. Okay, now let's divide both sides by 4a squared divided by 4a squared. So that part cancels out. So we're left here with b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared equals quantity x plus b over 2a squared. Now we've got the squared part by itself, so we learned we can take the square root of both sides. square root of both sides, and either branch it or put a plus or minus in the front. So since it's the same number, and it's just a variable, not a number, I'm just going to put the plus or minus in front. So now what we have, and I'm going to kind of switch the order of these two sides. So we've got x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, we're almost done. I know this is looking a little crazy probably, but I promise the formula we get at the end is well worth it. So we're going to move on to the next slide, and I'll recopy this down. So we started here with x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by the 4a squared. Okay, so we learned that if you have the square root of a fraction, that's equal to the square root of the numerator, which is b squared minus 4ac, divided by the square root of the denominator. Well, the square root of 4a squared is a perfect square, so this part right here just simplifies to being 2a. Okay, so that's kind of convenient. So now we have, we can subtract b over 2a from this side, and we can subtract b over 2a from this side, and that's going to leave us with x equals negative b over 2a. That's the part we subtracted. We got this plus or minus. Then in the second piece, we have the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by, because we took this out of the square root, divided by the 2a is no longer under the radical. Now these two pieces, they both have the same denominator, so we can combine them together with a common denominator, and we get x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And this thing right here is super, super important and super, super useful. This is called the quadratic formula. Okay, so the formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a, where you remember that these are the roots. So what you're finding here are the roots, or the x-intercepts of your parabola, and the a, b, and c in this formula are from standard form. So this only works if you set your equation up in standard form. If you do have your equation in standard form, then you can look at it and you can figure out what your a, b, and c values are, and then you can plug them directly into this formula without having to complete the square, without having to add or subtract things from both sides. You just plug them straight into this formula, and it will give you out the roots. The reason it works is because we went through all the same steps that we would have gone through with numbers, but instead we went through those steps with variables, which means it's going to work for anything that you plug in. Okay, so the formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.